welcome to Christopher Opal. This is the first video on the channel, and I wanted to start with something kind of simple that I can kind of relate to. It's watches that anyone should consider under $1,000. Now, $1,000, depending on where you stand financially, it could be a significant amount of money, and it could also just be something you just want to play with. So I've gathered a list of watches that I think anyone could wear under $1,000. I did a bunch of categories, so we're kind of just going to bounce around a little bit, so forgive me. I will try and be more detailed and be more structured in future videos. So the first category on the list I want to talk about is chronographs. Now, chronographs are used in many different situations, such as just like racing, and I think that a chronograph is just a beautiful timepiece altogether. And one of the most famous timepieces, like chronograph timepieces, is the Seiko speed timer. It was recognized as one of the first automatic chronographs in 1969, I believe. And they now use a solar quartz movement, which can retail on their website around $695, so well under $1,000. And I'm sure you can find them on Amazon for even below $500. And I don't want to touch too much on the Seiko speed timer because it's so well known. So I kind of want to talk a little bit more about other chronographs that I find extremely interesting, such as Studio Underd0g, who I think only has made chronographs so far. I'm not sure if I missed a limited edition drop where they did something different. But Studio Underd0g is a very fun brand. I had a lot of fun scrolling through their website. They have one chronograph that I really like called the Watermelon. And it's a pink and green dial, and they use the Seagull ST1901 movement. And people would consider that a bad thing because when people buy a Seagull, it's a great price for a chronograph. The movement is absolutely beautiful, but the price you're going to pay to have it repaired kind of outweighs the benefit of owning the $200 or $300 Seagull chronograph. And so people might find that off-putting. However, with Studio Underd0g, it's all about having fun, and I just think that their dials create such a unique concept to watch collecting, and especially to do it with a chronograph. It's just incredible. They have lots of ones. I know they came out with a pizza. I thought the pizza one was really fun. And one of the last chronographs that I want to talk about is something that I'm considering buying personally. It's the Brew Retrograph Espresso. Now, Brew got its start from taking retro espresso machines and turning them into watch styles. So one of the most famous known is a retro espresso machine, and then you have the metric is one that has many different colors. It's very vibrant, bright, and what's interesting about Brew is on all of their chronographs, they have a section on the bottom of their watch between the 25 and the 35 second mark, whether that's extra indices like we see on the Retrograph Espresso, or on the metric, where it's just I'm pretty sure it's yellow between the 25 and 35. And the reason for that is because an ideal espresso shot is between 25 and 35 seconds. And I think the metric is great. You've had famous celebrities who have promoted the brand Brew through the metric because it's the most popular of them, but I personally think that the espresso, I think the rose gold, and it's just phenomenal looking, and I can see myself definitely wearing that in the future, and I can see myself using it, like for its purpose in timing espresso. My girlfriend is someone who absolutely loves coffee, and I love coffee, and so I just think that it would just be kind of fun to be like, I have an espresso chronograph on my wrist, and it's just something that's really fun. And now I want to move into my favorite category, and that is sports watches. Sports watches are their own breed, and when I think of sports watches, I think of one of my favorite watches of all time that I've still yet to own, the Tissot PRX. And a lot of people have talked about the Tissot PRX. And so I don't want to touch too much on it, but I want to say that it is a great, great watch for the money. It is under $1,000. Either you can get the Quartz or the Powermatic. They are both under $1,000. Recently, Tissot released, I think, 3 or 4 new colors of the PRX, and then they also released the carbon case, which retails on the Tissot website at $995, which is still under. You're getting the automatic movement, you're getting a carbon scratch resistant case. It's great. The black looks great. I'm typically not a fan of black cases, but I think that those really works well with the Tissot PRX. The Powermatic 80, it's a movement that is well known to those who love Tissot. It's well known in the Tissot Gentleman. It's another great watch that I could recommend. I guess maybe even recommend that in the dress watch category. However, I'm not exactly sure where those set price-wise, so I'm not going to talk too much about those. I want to talk about the PRX. Some of my favorites of the PRX would be the Powermatic 80 on the dark green dial. And in the Quartz, I would do the Champagne Gold. I think that Champagne Gold is beautiful. It's a different type of gold compared to other. It's less flashy. It's more sophisticated. And I really like that about it. It resembles, of course, the AP Royal Oak, which is one of the places where it draws inspiration, but it also draws inspiration from one of their 70s models. The Tissot PRX would be a great watch to get. If you didn't want the automatic and you just wanted the Quartz, you'd be looking at a price around $400. If you wanted the automatic, you'd be looking at double that, but still the price for the value of such a watch, of such a hype watch, just get what you want and don't worry about the hype. Don't hop on the hype train. Get what you think you would enjoy, and that's what I have to say about the Tissot PRX. And because sports watches are a very tricky category, it was hard to come up with more, and so instead of coming up with a specific one like I had for the PRX, I decided I would stick to a certain line of watches. And I'm going to refer to the Seiko 5 Sports line. Now, I can't touch on a specific Seiko 5 Sports because, of course, there are many. There are GMTs, there's the SRPD line, and currently I'm wearing a Seiko 5 SRPE 55K1, which is a beautiful watch. I wear it almost daily. It's very comfortable on the wrist, and of course, when we think of Seiko 5, I'm sure there's people who wonder, what does Seiko 5 even mean? When you buy a Seiko 5, you can expect 5 things. A very tough case, so you have really resistant, it can be beat around and it'll still keep going. You've got the 4 o'clock crown, you've got your day-date display, your automatic movement, and water resistance. Those are the 5 things that make up a Seiko 5. And so when it's not including the GMT line, that doesn't have anything to do with Seiko 5. That's just a completely different, because there's also Seiko Divers. This has a fixed bezel, so it's not not rotating. It's got an open case back. I cannot remember the crystal name, but it has an open case back, and I love it. It works great. I love it on my wrist, and it's very comfortable. I wear it, it matches any outfit, and I think it's just an incredible watch. Now, I want to touch on one final category, genre of watches that, it's definitely not the last category. There are many. I didn't even touch on divers. I had trouble with the divers category. I'll have to do a completely separate video on divers. But for right now, I want to talk about the field watch genre. We'll say genre of watches. Of course, the most well-known, most talked about field watch, the Hamilton Khaki Field Quartz Mechanical and Automatic. They have the whole deal. And I've never had one. To me, they look amazing, depending on what you get. They have different case designs, they have different dial designs, they have different straps, they have different movements, and I can't touch on a specific one, although they're all labeled Hamilton Khaki Field. And because during the war, along with Oris, which I'm sure, I can't remember if that is an American or if it's a Swiss brand. I'm pretty sure it's Swiss, and Hamilton has American roots, so it's historically significant to the American forces during the war. When you were excluding, so when it comes to be tricky with this is because the Hamilton in a bracelet costs over $1,000, which is not in our budget. So I'm talking about the models that are on a strap, NATO strap. They sit well under $1,000. And so if you were looking for a field watch, something with military heritage, something that you can like beat around and you don't have to worry about it, Hamilton Khaki Field is an incredible timepiece. And one thing that I found really interesting about the history of it, I couldn't find exactly how, but I do know why. I had to call Hamilton, not Hamilton directly, they had to send my questions to the Hamilton headquarters over in Switzerland, but I was on the phone with someone at Swatch Group, and they had to send it all over there. During the war, if you notice on some of the vintage, mainly the non-stamped, because before Hamilton was a brand, like a stamped brand, there was no stamp. It was just blank dial, and it had the resemblance of kind of like a black top, like a concrete. And the reason for that is because when you were behind enemy lines or when you were hiding, you didn't want your watch to glare. So in order to prevent that glare, they had a specific coating to go over the glass, and they also had the really rough textured dial to prevent such glare. And I just think it's so fascinating how they did that. I do have a question submitted to Hamilton headquarters, and they said that they would get back to me within a few days, business days, so it'll be next week. And whenever I get the answer to what that coating is, or what that dial texture is, or how it was achieved, I will definitely find some way to let all of you know. And if you know, please tell me, because I find it very curious how they did. I want to say they sandblasted the dial. However, the glass, I have no idea how they achieved that. But I think Hamilton Khaki Field is very rustic, very heritage, and if you are into that type of aesthetic, that adventure aesthetic, I would definitely say go for the Hamilton Khaki Field. One more field watch brand that I want to talk about real quick is Vaer. Vaer draws inspiration from Hamilton, and they have divers, chronographs, and field watches. Now, of course, my personal favorite of the Vaer watches is the R1 Racing chronograph, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Right now, we're talking about field watches, and the tactical field comes in both 36 and 40 millimeters, both, of course, two different price points. I think there's a $10 difference between the two, But the price varies between what strap you choose, what movement you choose, and what size you get. So all of that considered, no matter what, the highest price, you will still be paying under $700. So that falls within that category. Vaer, I've heard great things. I hope to try one soon. They just look great. I'm a big fan of the chronograph, though. If you don't want to spend so much money on a Hamilton, you're not sure if field watches are your thing, definitely try checking in with a Vaer watch. They are significantly less and still great for the money. They have a Dirty Dozen, which I'm pretty sure is a pilot's watch. I'll correct it if I'm wrong. And I just think that it's a great watch. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. I had a lot of fun. I stuttered a lot, forgive me. Throughout the video, I felt a little more confident. Maybe I'm just being overconfident. Thank you guys for watching. Before you go, I remember I mentioned Oris a little while back, and I wanted to make that an honorable mention. So if you wanted a pilot's watch, something historically significant as well, definitely check out vintage Oris Big Crown pointer dates. During the time of the war, they made so many pointer dates that now they have little value. Not little value, they're valued less because they're so common. And that's a good thing, because the pointer date now, they come out with new releases, like new dial colors, like the blue, the sky blue, or light blue, ice blue, I don't know. It's very beautiful, love that dial watch. It's very historically significant. You can find them on Chrono24, on eBay. I don't know about Amazon, but they're definitely an obtainable watch. You have to get vintage because the new ones are priced over $1,000. I'm sure you can find an Oris pointer date Big Crown as low as maybe $300. And I just think that it is super interesting, the history behind field watches, because watches before were, pocket watches, and then when the wars started happening, people didn't need to pull their pocket watch out mid-battle. They needed to see the time, they needed to see it fast, and so wristwatches were a huge, significant part of history. And I just think that it's so fascinating. Watches are so fascinating. They interest me. I eat, sleep, and drink watches all the time. And so that's going to do it from me. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe and comment down below. Please let me know your thoughts. Let me know what your favorite watch was that I mentioned. Or if you have something that I should have mentioned, please let me know in the comments. I'm open for discussion. I'll try and comment on all comments. And hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and night. Bye.